working under the hot sun for hours and hours on end, without any fresh drinking water, without any restrooms, and without fair pay for a day's work. But most importantly, working hard and being treated with no respect or dignity, being looked at more as a worker than a human being. One thing that we both had in common, when it came to picking a speaker, one thing that we both had in common was that we each had a parent, or at one point, one of our parents, or currently one of our parents, works in the field, out in the crop fields. So for our speaker, we chose Cesar Chavez. We chose the speech that he gave to the union, he gave to the farm workers to convince them to join the union. And in the speech, he goes about and says all the good things the union will do for them, and he sees the union does it, why he supports the union. One of the quotes says, one of the quotes that we agreed tied into why we chose him was, but deep in my heart, I knew I could never be happy unless I tried organizing the farm workers. I didn't know if I would succeed, but I had to try. All Hispanics, urban and rural, young and old, are connected to the farm workers' experience. We had lived through the fields, our parents had. We shared that common humiliation. How we could progress as people even if we lived in the cities, while the farm workers, men and women of our color, were condemned to live a life without pride. How could we progress as a people while the farm workers, who symbolized our history and its land, were denied self-respect? How could people believe that children could become lawyers, doctors, judges, and business people, while this shame, this injustice was permitted to continue? Today we're going to talk about Cesar Chavez's speech. First, Cesar Chavez's speech delivered on November 9th in 1984 in San Francisco. First, we will look at the significance of this speech. Second, his communication concept. And third, we will share what we each learned about the speech.
But before we start, we're going to share a little about Cesar Chavez's biography. Cesar Chavez is born on March 31, 1927 and passed away April 23, 1993. It's not a time ago. I mean, I was 3 years old at that time. Okay, he was a Mexican immigrant leader, labor leader. He used no violent methods to fight for the rights of the migrant workers. He fought for his rights for many, many years. And it is difficult to work hard in the fields and get a little pay. Moving, from place to place. For example, sometimes we'll be working here. Then when the work ends in here, we have to move forward to, let's say, Delano or someplace out. People back then have to do the same thing, because otherwise, if there's no work, they have money to pay for nothing. Okay. Cesar Chavez became a migrant farm worker at the young age of 11. After he finished his elementary school, he became a full-time worker, because he had to have his parents. He had to support, give them money, because otherwise they're not gonna make it with the money of their parents. Okay. Cesar Chavez served in the Navy during the World War II. When Cesar Chavez returned from the war, he became the leader. Now that we had shared some of the background information about Cesar Chavez, we will now move on to the first main point.
This speech was given to farm workers who are being poorly treated. It was his explanation as to why he was such a strong believer in the Union Farm Workers of America, which now works to ensure people working out in the crop fields are being treated fairly. This speech was definitely one of the best speeches we have ever read. It was very moving and inspirational. Cesar Chavez was very well educated and was a very well educated and intelligent man. While reading this speech, it was as if he was simply having a conversation. He was a very natural speaker. This speech was given to bring awareness to the fact that many farm workers are being mistreated and abused. The opening paragraph really paints a graphic picture of just how awful the farm workers were really treated. And it reads, 21 years ago, last September, on a lonely stretch of railroad paralleling the U.S. Highway 101 near Salinas, 32 Bracero farm workers lost their lives in a tragic accident. The Braceros had been imported from Mexico to work on California farms. They died when their bus, which was converted from a flatbed truck, drove in front of a freight train. Conversion of the bus had not been approved by any government agency. The driver had tunnel vision. Most of the bodies lay unidentified for days. No one, including the grower who employed the workers, even knew their names. Today, thousands of farm workers live under savage conditions, beneath trees and amid garbage and human excrement, near tomato fields in San Diego County, near tomato fields in the San Diego County. Tomato fields which use the most modern farm technology. Vicious rats gnaw on them as they sleep. They walk miles to buy food at inflated prices, and they carry in water from irrigation pumps.
Cesar Chavez was very good at using pathos. We all agree that the first line of the speech upheld our emotions. It pulled a few hairstrings. It was almost a tearjerker. Through the speech, we found many examples of him also using ethos and logos. One example of this is when he said, "Child labor is still common in many farm areas. As much as 30% of the Northern California barley harvests are underage. Kids as young as 6 years old had voted in the state, conducting union elections and they qualify as workers. Just imagine at the age of 6 years, working in the fields with a little bit of pay, treated like animals, not like people, is really bad. Just put yourself in that situation and see whether you want that for yourself or not. Imagine if this child had never fight for rights. It was still the same. We never had move on. We never had those rights we have now. When we get a job, we don't like it because of the way they treat us. We just quit the job and we look for another one. In that